Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of My Solo Chronicles. I know it's been a minute. I've been trying to get settled as much as possible here in Japan, especially with work starting up about 2 weeks ago, which has been, that's a whole nother story in itself. But, anyways, I am back, and today I want to share with you my little adventure of going to a castle ruins and doing my first hike since I've been here. In the community that I live in, it is very rural, so there's not too much to do as far as activities, so it's almost like I have to come up with ideas to do things. So when I'm not working, good thing I'm off on the weekends, I can actually try to go and do something on a Saturday, because Sunday I really like to take that whole entire day just to relax and just mentally and physically get prepared for Monday. Last week, I went on, like I said, my first hike since I've been here, and I had been told by people in the community, students, staff members, that the first place I should go if I like to hike and be outdoors is go to the city that I live in. It has a castle ruins, is from what I was told. In Japan, it is the oldest castle ruins in the country, or one of. And I was told, definitely check it out. Just be prepared for the hike up if you decide to go to the very top. I figured, you know what? No problem. If I can hike to the bottom and as well as behind the Hollywood sign when I was in California, I got this. Well, let me just tell y'all, I almost did not have it. I didn't know if I was going to have to call whatever the version of 911 was, because I was just like, what was I thinking? It's almost like I talk myself into doing stuff. And then as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, why would you do this? So, yes. So I ended up going to, it's called Gassan Toda Castle ruins, and it's in the Yasugi prefecture, which is where I'm at. And it was, like I said, it's one of the oldest castle ruins in Japan, and it was it was actually amazing. I will say it's not too far from where I live at, so to drive, and I had already said I wasn't going to try to drive too much when I'm not working, because in the States I drove everywhere, and just to actually be somewhere where the transportation system is really great, I wasn't trying to drive. But for this area or this location, I had to drive, and from my house to the location was by car maybe about 15 minutes, and that's not long. um, Even though Google Maps almost set me up, it had me literally drive to a location that was somebody's home. So I'm pulling up in somebody's driveway, and the lady comes out and she kind of looks at me, and I'm like, okay, how am I going to explain myself in the broken Japanese that I know? So I ended up backing out and going to where the parking area was, which is what I passed as I was listening to Google Maps. Google Maps will set you up, but we're not going to give them a promotion because they're not paying me to be they're not my sponsor and they're not paying me. So I get to the very bottom, the parking area of where I was going to start the hiking trail. And it was on a Saturday. It was actually pretty nice out. It wasn't too hot, so I thought, and it wasn't too cold. It was actually in between, so the weather was perfect, especially if you're going to do an early morning hike. And I wanted to start pretty early, so I got there. I literally started at the base. It was a little after 10. When I heard Sensei April, or April Sensei, I said, I know this cannot be any of my students, because I didn't expect to see anybody. Just note that nobody that recognized me anyways. But again, I live in a rural area. I work in schools that are in my area. So, of course, I was going to run into some of my students. And they're motioning to me, saying in their little cute, adorable, broken English, "Are you with us?" And I'm like, "Yeah," when I wasn't. But it's just this particular day, we just all happened to just show up at the exact same time. So we start. One of the people that worked there, she was so kind. Me, and this is why I say I've been fortunate since being in Japan, where even though I don't speak Japanese very extremely well, I'm still able to communicate. And the person I may be talking to cannot speak English, but they're still able to communicate with me. So it's been awesome. One of the ladies that work at the it's like a gift shop, sightseeing tourist, you know, those little buildings that be there on site. She was kind of explaining by showing me the map of how the trail runs and how I can get back down. She was showing me how long it would take to start from where I was standing all the way up to the very top. So she says, "Oh, it's going to take at least, from my understanding of what she was telling me, it was going to take me about a good hour and a half to get to the very, very top if I felt brave." Psh, hour and a half is nothing to me. Again, so I thought. So I took a picture of the map so that I can have it as a record for me. Because just in case I got turned around or whatever. Because it was really, you're literally walking into like castle ruins that back in that time were built in the mountains. So there's still like a lot of mountain. I mean, a lot. I start up these stairs, and it was a combination of concrete as well as wooden stairs. And the climb up, I I want to say, and I don't even know why I was caught off guard, because I've done hiking before. I literally did a hiking outdoors thing, like literally right before I drove back to Michigan from California. So I don't even know why I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know about this." So halfway up, because you're going, it's like levels, levels of mountains. That's the only way I can describe it. You're going up these concrete and wooden stairs, and I want to say maybe about like 6 minutes in, I was like, "Yeah, I don't know about this. I really don't know about this," because I didn't even see the very tip top of where she was telling me if I felt brave to go. I didn't even see that. And I'm just like, I know it's somewhere around here. We just got to keep going up. Now, when I say we, like I said, it was still like it was my students or some of the students and their parents or teachers or whoever these adults were. And I started up. Good thing I brung my hiking sticks. And the first, after maybe the first 10 minutes, you come to this one area where it's like a shrine as well as look like burial plots. Now, this is kind of like the first level of the mountain as you're going up. And you can kind of look over and you can see parts of Yasugi. And you don't see much, but you see enough. Took a few pictures there. I had never in my entire life seen bees as big as these bees were. I want to say they were bees because I don't think they were wasps. They just looked like bees to me. And I was like, don't swat at them because it's a lot of them. And okay, I'm going to say something really weird. And you can agree with me or not. I really do feel like these these bees, these creatures that were created by God, guided me, because I was never without at least one or two. Take that for what you want. I start walking and I come across this huge monument, and it's it's like a this is like it was like a huge statue of one of the guards that would guard the first level of the mountain going into the castle as you go up. And This it is called the drum altar, and it had a soldier literally standing there like it's still on guard, and it's guarding that area. And I was so just amazed by it. Just the beauty of it just was absolutely amazing. I Now at this point I'm with people, not a lot, because the students that I told you about, they ventured off once we got to a certain level. And they're little kids, so of course, they're not trying to do what I'm trying to do. So I thought I'll tell you about that later. So I go past the drum altar where the soldier was standing, and I started walking. And like I said, I was with a group of people, not a lot. And we get to where I say homes, but and I hate to call them tents, but it's like an area where it was two buildings that you could actually um not walk in. At least I didn't walk in because I didn't want to disrespect the two buildings. I mean, they're old. You don't know what the condition of them are. So I didn't want to walk in. I just kind of peeked in, took video and pictures, and that was pretty much it. I turn around. I'm literally standing there by myself. There was no one. I said, wait a minute. What happened to the people that I was with? Because there was a conversation as we were walking. I kept saying, me, top. And and they would look at me and go, oh, oh. And I'm like, yeah. I know they were thinking, like, good luck on that. You have no idea what you're about to get yourself into. So I started walking because I done, looked, at these two buildings that, and on the inside, there were historical items that still looked like they did. I'm going to try to pronounce this. It's the Sengoku period to the early Indu period. It says that it is a compound style mountain castle with a main wall at the top of the mountain and a large number of large and small curved rings on the ridge. It can only be attacked from three directions. And they tell you what those I can't pronounce the three directions where you can be attacked, but it says even if the lower level of the castle falls, it is blocked by the middle mountain palace. And even if it falls, it is protected by climbing the main mountain, Mount Tutski, and at the top, a moat was built to strengthen the defense. I can never say that word. It is an impregnable castle that has never fallen. You're literally walking those three levels that I just told you about. And those three levels were nowhere near close. I'm looking for the trail to see, okay, I know I want to get to the very, or at least I want to attempt to get to the very top. Now I want to find out how do I start heading in that direction. And I see like a gentleman and his son, and then I saw another gentleman, and I said, okay, let me follow them because I got a feeling they're probably going in the same direction, which in hindsight they actually were. So it worked out for me that I was able to see them. So we ended up going. I followed them through this one trail up some, quick flight of stairs. This large area that just opened up where it looked like on this level here, because now we're above where the first level is in the mountain. This area was most likely probably used to house military equipment, where they most likely trained their horses, where they kept watch over the castle just in case there was going to be an attack on the castle. And I mean, this area was huge, but it really wasn't too much to see. There was, I think I counted four plaques that told you what the area was utilized for. So then came the part where now you're about to do these stairs. Oh boy. To get to the stairs that lead to the top, you had to go up this concrete, I say a concrete wall, because even though it was stairs, it was like concrete. Like I'm climbing a a concrete wall. So I finally get up these huge concrete stairs, and I get to the very bottom of the stairs that is going to take me to the very top. When I looked up, and the two gentlemen and the one gentleman's son, when I seen them resting as they were halfway up, I said, that's not good. That's not a good look. That is not a good look at all. But I'm going to do this. And I can remember recording, because I was recording a video that I was going to post on Instagram. And I remember saying in the video, if I surely can climb or hike to the bottom of the Hollywood sign, I guarantee you I can do this. And did you hear me say, oh boy? Oh boy was right. I started. Now I'm already winded because you're hiking up and you're hiking through the mountains. So the mountains is getting steeper and steeper and steeper. And I'm like, okay, I got this. And I kept remembering what the lady said. It's going to take an hour and a half to really get to the top. But I said, I got this. I got this. 2 minutes in, and I was like, I don't think I got this. But I had went so far up. I thought to myself, there's no way I can turn around and go back down because I'm too high up at this point. And the only thing I could think of is like, just keep going, April. If it takes you 2 hours, you can do it. And I kept going and I kept going and I kept going. And it was like the stairs were never ending. And I remember one of my coworkers, when he mentioned it to me, all he could say was a lot of stairs, a lot of stairs. And I looked at him and I said, well, is that good or bad? And he just shook his head like, a lot of stairs, a lot of stairs. Good luck. I'm hiking up these stairs, and it's called seven bends because you're bending through as you're going up these stairs. And I'm just going to read you a little bit about the stairs. It says, it is a steep road from the mountain palace to the top of the mountain. And if you are attacked from above, you will not be able to attack. You can also attack from the curved ring on the left and right of the road. And it says, Tomita Castle has never been attacked to the top of the mountain. So the seven bends symbolize that the castle is impregnable, or you can't attack it because it's so high up. So basically, if you're trying to attack the castle from below, you're going to get attacked because of the soldiers that are well above you. And it is literally seven bends as you're going up these stairs. Now, how they count those seven bends, I have no idea. And I kept going. I look up. I see a couple ahead of me. I don't know where they came from. They must have started way before me. You see, the husband gives his wife one of his walking sticks, and they're well ahead of me. And I see them stop, and they're like, and she's just like, oh boy, oh boy. And I'm looking at her, and I was like, I feel you, sister. I'm eventually going to get to the spot where you're standing. Eventually. Give me like 20 minutes. It wasn't 20 minutes, but I'm just saying. I kept walking, and I'm thinking, me and one of my good friends are talking about going to South Korea maybe next year. I don't know. And we want to go to the North Seoul Tower. And I've seen YouTube videos about that tower. Either you can, take the stairs or take that long, winding walk up. And I remember sending her a message, and I was saying to her, there's no way we're going to do that because I got a strong feeling it's going to feel like what I'm feeling like right now. And I still got maybe another 5 bends to go through before I get to the top. But I pressed on because my thing is, once I start something, I at least try to finish it so that I can say, you know what, I did it. And it took me back to when I would hike. I remember when I hiked the last time, up to the Hollywood sign and I wanted to go behind it. That hike, what to me was brutal. And I wasn't even doing stairs. It was a straight just walk up incline on concrete. But it to me it was brutal. And I said, I'm going to get there no matter how long it takes me. I'm going to get there. So that's why I kept going. And I kept going. But as I'm going up, people coming down and we're all giving each other the thumbs up. We're konnichiwaing all over the place. It was just and just with that burst of energy, I said, I can do this. So the couple that I just told you about, they were already at the top. So when I seen them disappear, I said, that has to be the top right there. And there were a few times where I thought about, I'm going to turn around. There's no way I'm going to do this. But once I looked out at one point and I could see all of Yasugi and you could see the ocean in the distance, I made up my mind, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to push it to the end. And I pushed it to the end. Literally. I get to the top, and you get a bird's eye view of what the people back in that era saw as they looked out from the castle windows or just being outside of the castle, still protecting it. It was an amazing view. You got to see parts of the mountain that, as you're going up these stairs, that you really didn't see until you got to the top. And I was blown away. And I pat myself on the back. I chugged my water. And that's one of the things that I tried not to do was drink a lot of water on my way up. I don't know about anybody who has done any hiking, but for me, I notice if I'm doing a marathon or if I'm doing a hike, if I'm sipping water, my fingers tend to swell up. And I chose not to drink any water. I think I had one or two sips of water before I started that incline, but after that it was like, no, I'm not going to have any more water until I get to the top. And I chugged it because that was a long walk up. And when I looked at my watch, cuz I tracked my way up, because remember the lady says, "Oh, it's going to take you an hour and a half." Literally, my watch said 59 minutes exactly right before I pushed the stop. It took me 59 minutes. And I'm thinking, how fast was I walking? But going up the stairs, I was hauling ass. I said, I just want to be done with this. I'm thinking, the students that I saw, the people that were with them, they're gone. All of a sudden, again, I hear Sensei April, and I'm like, oh my God, these babies is coming up these stairs. These kids, they were probably, I want to say they're probably like 6 and 7 year olds, and I mean, they were coming. They were coming up the stairs faster than I was. And I was just in so much awe of them because that energy was so powerful. Now the adults, on the other hand, they was trying to keep up, but I was just so blown away by those little ones. And I decided to head down because, and I'm glad I did, because I started to see people coming up, and I was like, yeah, I'm not trying to be up here, way up on this damn hill, with a whole bunch of people, because it was already hot. And as I'm going down, I'm like, Ohio gozaimasu, Ohio gozaimasu. And the little ones just like, oh, Sensei April, Sensei April. And we're high fiving. And I'm like, yes, enjoy. Good job. And I'm like, let me get the hell out of here. Now, even though it took me 59 minutes to go up, I, like, again, I hauled it down those stairs. But I noticed as I was going down, my legs were shaking. They were shaking bad. I ended up stopping for this elderly couple, and I give them so much props for even attempting to do this. That's why I always say you cannot put an age limit on people because you don't know what they can do. This couple looked like they had to be in their 70s, but they were pressing on, and that's what gave me motivation right there. That if they can do something like this, I can do whatever I set my mind to. I just got to get out of my own way. But I stopped and I stepped to the side. We greeted each other, and he says, "Japanese good." And I'm like, "Oh, arigato gozaimasu." And I'm saying to myself, "Yeah, I don't speak Japanese like that." But I stood to the side, and as I'm standing there letting them go past, because the stairs are so narrow, from my waist down, I was shaking. And I literally was thinking, like, please hurry up and walk past before I collapse because my legs are shaking. I get down. I took the same route that I took going to the very top. I took the same route going back to the parking lot. And once I reached my car, and I was really impressed with myself. I was impressed with the elderly couple that I saw. I was really impressed with just the other adults that were with the kids, but more importantly, I was impressed with the kids because of that energy. And I have decided I want to take as many hikes as I possibly can while I'm here because Japan is a country, and I think I've said it before in a previous episode, is a country that has so much history for anyone to discover. I love history, and I love when I go to a country that's so historic, like Japan. I want to see and do and find out as much as possible just to discover the different locations. Japan, yes, is known for Tokyo, areas like Shibuya and Shinjuku and Kyoto, but there are so many other parts of this country that most people don't venture out to discover. And I'm glad I got a chance to go out and discover this. And I'm glad that I had students and co-workers that told me about this castle ruins. Would I do it again? No, thank you. I'm good. It was great while it lasted. But I did enjoy it. I really did enjoy it. And remember I mentioned about those bees in the very beginning? When I was making my descent down, I didn't see those bees, those one or two bees that were with me in the very beginning. It was almost like they were guiding me, if that makes sense. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I look forward to talking to you in the next episode. And as always, my moonbeams, have a great rest of the day. Talk to you later. Bye.